you a song, let me give you a song, let me sing you a song, let me sing you a song. From dusk to dawn, to the early morn, till the battle's gone, till the battle's gone. Hitting on the road, I wanna bring you along, wanna show you the world like a step up a show.
Hey, howdy,
Your
folks.
heart was broke, so I'ma give you my own.
Trademark that one for you. Welcome back to Dusty Tracks, BC. I'm hanging out here by the Skeena River. I almost got it confused with something else. Yeah, beautiful river, and we're here sitting with Kim. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for sitting down with us.
Yeah.
You're a whitewater paddler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think a lot of our audience has never seen that side of the river before. Would you care to have a conversation with me about
Sure.
about all things whitewater and
Yeah.
just life in general?
Life in general, yes, you bet.
When did you first jump in a kayak?
I started kayaking back on the Ottawa River.
Oh yeah.
That's where I started, kind of warm water, pool drop. So often when you're thinking about a river, that's another sort of a whitewater terms, but here in BC, we have a lot more of continuous rivers, and in Ontario it's a big volume, so you have a big rapid and then you have a big pool. And a big massive rapid and then a pool. So it makes learning a little bit easier versus then some of the rivers around here, which are continuous and often glacier fed. So
A little chillier.
yeah,
Is
so
Ottawa
Ottawa's
warm?
nice. Yeah, it's really warm. Yeah.
I've heard that quite a few times. I've never paddled it. I've heard it akin to the Thompson.
Yeah, similar, very similar. Yeah, big volume, lots of big features, lots of options for play boating and having fun. So
What's playboat?
it's the folks use smaller boats, and they're often like more of a flat bottom boat,
Yeah.
and it can spin, or you can do like tricks where you can get the boat on edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah.
What's your preferred boat?
Right now I just call it my Cadillac. Very more of a comfortable river running. It's actually a creek boat, and creek boats are designed kind of like a downhill mountain bike, or sort of like an all mountain ski, I guess you could describe it like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just able to go down, slots hit off rocks, and the design is to track forward. Yeah, and so it displaces the water on top of the bow of it, so you can break through big waves or stay on course. And here we are in Terrace, BC, and well known for folks, or maybe you don't know, but we've got so many options for close by multi-day trips. So you can pack the back of your kayak and go on a sweet little whitewater trip, and so that's sort of the mode of transport that I like. Yeah, yeah.
That is. Have you done a few multi-days around here? You must have.
Yeah, we've got. So we're out here on the Skeena River, and so upstream of us here, of Terrace, we have Hazelton, and above that section you have the Babine River comes in there, and so that's a really beautiful river to do. Last year we did some nice multi-day trips up on the upper Skeena, not right at the headwaters, but like that mid part of the Skeena. So it's gorgeous, just like big, bouncy, whitewater, friendly, yeah, and of course wilderness,
Oh yeah.
You're not running into anyone.
That's half of the joy for me.
Yeah,
is
right.
Just being immersed in nothing but the wilderness.
Yeah, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Yeah, pristine areas.
Pristine,
yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah. Likening kayaking to mountain biking is that's a great way to explain it, because it is very much like the river is your trail, and there are some technical spots, but there's also, like you're saying, those big bouncy waves which we wouldn't. Yeah, you look at a river and you're like, that looks terrifying.
Yeah, but lots of big lines and options through them that are safe and friendly, and Yeah, so it's nice for folks that ever want to come up and do some of that style of multi-day rafting. It's it's world class, that's for sure. Yeah.
But it is way too far away, so I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah.
We're not. We'll take visitors. We'll take friendly folks to visit here. Yeah.
I think that's probably a running joke that we've had going for a little while.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, don't tell anyone. It's too far away. It's not worth the effort. Yeah, it's. If you would, like I said off the top, I don't know if a lot of our crowd is savvy to a lot of the whitewater culture or slang, if that makes sense. But are there different gradients to rivers? Like, what am I trying to say? Mm-hmm. Are they marked out different in different sections? Mm-hmm. And what is that classification? If you would.
Sure. So I guess if you, I don't know if you can span or you can change the angle of cool. Where you're filming from, but if not, like, you can imagine here we are, and this would be, grade 1 moving water. So there's not a lot of obstacles, and you can see, like, there's not too much of a gradient. Maybe a little bit of riffle there where the water's flowing over the rocks. So when you're classifying a river, the volume of the river and the gradient of the river, so the angle of the river, often too, like the remoteness of it. So and just like you're mentioning in some of these areas, like a lot of these sections, like on the upper stretches of these rivers, are remote, lots of gradient and lots of big volume. So like the Skeena, the Ness, the Stikine, some of those big volume rivers. Mm-hmm. As you move up, grade 5, grade 6, so grade 3, 4, maybe some bigger boulders and like bigger eddy lines, bigger seam lines, different things like that. So if you have the main volume of the river going down the middle and maybe some obstacles in between, so that would kind of class 3, 4. Mm-hmm. And then 5, 6, so just like must make moves, they would call it, I guess, maybe in something like that. So it's like you would have to be able to get around something, or maybe using an obstacle that, and you're using that to get over it, like you'd have to boof something, or you'd have to, some of those bigger, that's how the classification works. Did you want to add anything else?
That's a great explanation.
Yeah.
What's a boof?
Oh, a boof would be if you have a rock, so the water is pouring over it, and then here would be your kayak, so you're boofing over the obstacle in the river. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, the more people know, the safer they'll be.
Yeah.
I don't know if I said that off the top, but it was in my head. That's a good explanation. Mm-hmm. I like that. And what really started off your career not your career. I always think of it as a career when I start a new hobby. Yeah. Or something, right?
Getting into the paddling community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your first big introduction to it?
Well, like I mentioned, I started on the Ottawa, mm-hmm. and we were talking earlier about traveling, and you kind of chase seasons, I guess, in a certain way. So where the water is, started on the Ottawa, and then my first big international trip was going to Nepal. And I'd never even traveled on a plane before, but here I was, like, I remember telling my mom, and she's like, oh, you're going to paddle some river in Quebec? Like, she wasn't really listening, like, oh no, I'm going to Nepal. So here, I don't know, I was like 19, I could roll a kayak back then, I know, like, zero experience, but that was my first sort of taste of it, and it just got into me deep. Maybe we haven't discussed that yet, but the whitewater paddling community, it's just something it's unique. The people that you meet are, I don't know, like, I guess I always laugh with someone. It's like, probably because you look to that person and be like, if you're willing to put yourself out here, we're just friends, like we're buds, we got each other. So it's like this essence of like that connection with someone when you're putting onto a river, and then just knowing too, like, oh, like usually within a short conversation, you can connect somehow with that person on place or where they've been or someone they know or the rivers that you've shared or paddled together. So, yeah,
That would be a wild first trip.
yeah, it was.
Hey, Mom. Yeah, I'm just gonna go.
I'm going to Nepal.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Quebec. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
Wow. And what? Do they have a different class system over there?
No, it's the same.
It's the same, 1
Yeah.
to 6.
Yeah, I was just starting to paddle then, so to be honest, it was survival, we would often safety kayak on bigger rafting trips, and I would just do my best to kind of make my way. Yeah, do my best. Yeah, so that sort of started me off on things.
Do you remember the class of the river?
Or
the section that you ran?
Yeah, we ran the Sun Cozy, and there was a smaller section too. I remember we were teaching people, and often my English was the main connection of languages, but that was the Modi Cozy, I think it was called. Yeah, so, but yeah, I'm going back a few years here. I'm kind of dating myself because that was probably 20 years ago or even more. Yeah, so yeah, lots of multi-day trips to support rafts, and yeah, getting free. I don't know, back in those days, you're kind of, the river bum lifestyle. So you're working to go along, get your food paid for, and a few things. So yeah.
Yeah, similar to like ski bum lifestyle, just more into it, I think. Not more into it, but more involved and more remote, and it's similar, but it is definitely different, and
And what you'll find here in Terrace is you have a lot of folks that have traveled and they've been different places, and they're want to live in a place with these, amazing rivers where you'd have a ski hill close by and you can raise your family. And they're not myself, but others are these world-class paddlers, and they're just making their home around here. So it's a tight group of people living here, but it's smaller. It's a smaller group. Like you said, we're more further away. So but just a really beautiful amount of people here, creating this smaller paddling community, but a good team, of people.
Like you mentioned earlier, meeting somebody on the river, and just sharing, that little piece of white water with them, or whatever you run into them, and you're in the smack dab middle of nowhere. It forms a bond pretty fast.
Yeah.
And so I imagine, out here you run into your friends now and then on the river. Even better yet, you call them up, or they call you up, and hey, let's go check out this piece of water here.
Yeah.
It is a really, really great community. Not just Terrace, but the whitewater community
in general.
Overall,
yeah. It's friends for life. Yeah, you said. You said,
it's true. Some of my longest, a coworker relationship turned friendship. Brought us traveling all around, and even to this day, I'm so excited when I get to go visit him. It's so good.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it brings out your child. I don't know. It's just a spirit of, you say, a passion. Of things. So yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Beyond the introductory of it, you've done some pretty spectacular things. I don't know. It's always I absolutely have a hard time ramping myself up. But would you talk a little bit about your or would you tell me a little bit about your paddle down the Stikine?
Oh, I didn't go down the Stikine, the
Oh.
Skeena.
Pardon me, the Skeena.
Skeena, yeah, the Skeena. Yeah, sure. So it was a while ago. I think it was, 2009, 2010. No, 2009 it was. There was such siege on like the Telton and like what was happening up in the headwaters of the Skeena. And they wanted to drill for coal bed methane up there.
Oh.
And I'm not against all industry or, just extraction, but in this case, the idea to drill for coal bed methane in the headwaters of the Skeena was a horrible idea. And at the time, everyone was like, oh, there's no salmon up there, but a friend of mine was doing some salmon research, and there was options for spawning, and I don't know if people know here comes a little plane in, but the geography of the area, in that area in the upper Skeena, there's the Nass drainage, the Nass watershed, and you have the Skeena, and you have the Stikine, and they coined that area the sacred headwaters because in one day you can walk to all those different avenues to start from there in that one area. So drilling in that area would have affected all three of those watersheds and all of the communities downstream. So that's the one thing about rivers is, whatever's happening upstream, those, anywhere through the watershed are affected right to the ocean. So it was just a bad idea. And a friend of mine, he was doing some work with the Skeena Watershed Conservation Coalition, and he said, "Hey, Kim, like this girl, this girl's going to swim the Skeena. Would you be willing to be one of her safety kayakers?" And I was like, "Oh, well, does she have any whitewater experience?" And he's like, "No, not a ton, but we're gonna work with her, and if you come with us, you can help us, help train her up, and we'll get her ready for this swim." And so, I thought about it for a little while, and then I decided, okay, I wanted to be a part of something, it was volunteer, I was just going to volunteer my time for it. And when I learned more about it and the risks, I just thought this is something I just want to be a part of. So Allie started her training, and we did some swiftwater rescue, as a team, and we were all feeling really good about things. And so in early July, we started that trip, and so we went right from the headwaters, and basically the first 11 days we didn't see any other humans other than we had raft support for her. So we had 2 rafts, myself and another kayaker, Chris, his name is Chris G, and moved our way through this it's absolutely beautiful, kind of that meandering alpine mountainous terrain, just pristine, beautiful water. And we weren't really sure how she would be out there, but she was amazing and swam everything. She had a boogie board, and so I would often be out in the front, and I would be kind of like scout kayaking, and then a friend of mine would be right near her at any time if she needed anything. But she could use her boogie board to move wherever she wanted, and it just just lots of communication. And I think it was nice too having a woman at the river with her. At the end of the day, I'd help her get out of her dry suit, and we'd help her set up her tent, or just those little moments of intimacy or closeness that you're can you help me, please?
You want to have
but for sure. Just super solid, and you'd forget that she's swimming every day, because here you are just paddling along, eating bonbons, relaxing, and here she's every day, 8 hours a day swimming. So for the sections where there wasn't a lot of big white water, she was swimming through those sections. And prior to the trip, we really wanted to engage the full ski, the whole watershed. So the first event we had was in Hazelton, And I don't know, it's just seeing like in a trip like that, it wasn't like, oh, she's conquering the river. Like, you know, like if you have like these Everest or climbing events or whatever these things are, it was like we're celebrating it, like we're trying to bring awareness to it and connect people to it. So bringing people out to paddle and like these flotillas and just like, yeah, just trying to connect people to these stories, these places, you know, like, and yeah, just a huge connection with indigenous groups along the way, Tahltan region, Gitxsan territories, and as we move through, here we are on unceded Tsimshian territory here, and all the way down through the coast, just having that, yeah, cohesion where it was like, yeah, like this crazy girl is swimming the river, you know, and people just coming out to support that. So it was magical. It was a magical trip, and her efforts in the end, she did make it 610 kilometers of the Skeena, 28 days on the river. She made it to Rupert, to the cannery, and that's where she ended her trip. And from sort of a lot of her efforts, there is a permanent moratorium for coalbed methane drilling there in the headwaters. It's still a hugely controversial area right now in terms of extraction, and yeah, lots of different perspective on that, which I'm not going to get into, but just at least for that end of things, where I think could have been, yeah, just horrible for anything happening downstream. I think it was worth it. And like, I think you were just drawing back to what we were just discussing, those friendships, like, and
Absolutely, yeah.
it's just this amazing connection. Like, even, yeah, her and I, like, even afterwards, just paddling together, and like it was just like she was a kayaker, but she's on this boogie board. I don't know if you've ever had any friends do that with you. I don't know. Have you?
Absolutely, yeah, down the Thompson.
Okay, yeah.
The raft run from the Nickaman
Okay.
to the takeout is a spectacular half-day raft run.
Okay.
Or paddle if you're kayaking.
Yeah.
And about the same speed if you're swimming it as well. Yeah, and it is. Yeah, you know, having Allie put all that faith in you, and not only you but the team as well, and then forming those bonds, and also having that female support out there with you, I imagine would have been so good.
Oh yeah, it was. It's incredible. Like it was an incredible trip. None like just, you know, like, oh, you know, taking that time of your life for a month, and that's what you're, right? You're present. You're very. There is some integration too, like in coming off a trip like that too, right? You're just like, oh, you know, back into things, and yeah. Versus that, getting up, putting away your tent, and yeah.
It's a different routine from on the water to off the water, and it's you got to go out there and experience it.
No really, distractions.
Yeah.
Just like that group of people, and that's the main focus for that time. So.
Yeah. There's definitely some points I'd like to talk on in there, or touch on in there. How is it paddling from a female perspective? 'Cause I think in the past, I remember not growing up. I remember starting out my water career, and it was at the tail end, I think, of a very heavily male-dominated industry, because I got into it through guiding. What's it like now? Is it still male-dominated, or is there a lot of I don't know? Are there a lot of other connections happening?
I feel like we're broing down here. We're broing down on this. Honestly, it's interesting to reflect, and reflect is funny. I was just actually talking to someone about this, and I think early on, learning to work rafting, I worked in that, and kayaking. I think I was masking sort of my some of my fear, or how I wanted to just be whether I was a woman or not, which regardless, I just wanted to be like seen for what I was and like part of the team and doing the job or whatever that was. But I think I did, yeah, you do mask, like you're masking, you're fear-based and even just trying to like be a little tougher around the edges. And it's interesting now, like I'm 46 and I'm just sort of leaning into more of my, like bringing out these more feminine sides of myself. I think I was telling you that I'm teaching yoga and just like working in these different breath work and like in my body in a certain way. And then it does connect me to, yeah, how you really are, how you're thinking about something. And it's fun. Yeah, it's just funny. And I feel even like my paddling in that way has changed. I don't have the same capacity for fear in the same way, but at the same time, maybe I'm not chasing that either in the same way maybe I was, or wanting it in the same thing. So I feel like it's not FOMO or like this fear of missing out anymore. I'm happy with, happy with just different aspects of things, or connecting with the river or these places in a different way.
Yeah.
So I'm able to see things a little differently, or I don't know if that really answered what you were asking, but
I think so. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just maybe a little lighter touch to some ways, or being able to articulate myself with a different voice. So that
is great to hear. I'm always interested in trying to not aggressively push, but get partners hooked on the things that I like.
Yeah.
And so, if I'm interested in that, I'm sure there's some audience members that I have no idea who they are, but I'm sure they have the same questions, and like I'm always trying to make it as appealing. But I mean, at the end of the day, maybe your feet are wet for 8 hours a day, and how do you make that appealing? But at the same time, it's like growing it step by step, and so then you can share your passions with not only your partner but also people that have never experienced it, and just easing people into it. And I think that's a good approach. Easy does it. It. And everybody's threshold for learning is so different, and like backgrounds to bring us to where we are. And so I think you were asking me about a program that's now running in this region called the Women on the Water, and did you want me to talk about that a little bit? Absolutely. Yeah. So I think that's a great
I just might have to back up a little bit because I was jumping around here, but after the Skeena swim, our friends that sort of did that trip, we were like, man, this is so cool. We got to do this and see those places. But how amazing would it be to have kids of these regions connecting and doing being on these rivers, right? Floating them and learning how to be like, because to get access to be a rafting guide or to be on a river, it costs. Like, not everybody has those options or those experiences. So through the Skeena Watershed Conservation Coalition, it's a big SWCC is the organization, and they funded and got some grants and funded this program. So initially we were able to get kids. It's a day program, so from 9 to 3 kids would come, and it morphed over some time. Like, originally as sort of a semi like loose guiding program, but we just realized like that wasn't the needs of the community. I think the big piece was like actually getting kids learning how to swim in whitewater, or if you fall out of a boat, whether it's a raft or you see there's like lots of jet boats in this area, like how do you keep your feet up? How do you relax in your life jacket? Or like even making sure we're teaching people like the proper gear to wear and how to snug up each other's life jacket and things like that. So that program, kids here in Terrace, they have a week. They're on 5 different river sections. Usually not anything more than class 3. That was usually because we have kids are from 12 to 18. And so that's the youth on the water. And then we do a week of women on the water. And just like we were talking about partners getting interested, well, things can be called a divorce machine, like if you're in a canoe or whatever. But I just think like sometimes there's just like extra pressure. But I have seen personally through like this Women on the Water program, we had women shuttle drivers, women guides, and then it's just a different perspective, a different philosophy on the voicing. Like when we're starting even the beginning of the session, I like literally I'm talking to folks we'll be working with, and I'm like, if I raise my voice on the raft, I'm not doing it to be rude, but I just want you to be able to hear me in the front. And like these like simple forms of like communication, you know, like if I'm raising my voice, like, or maybe the people in the back, can you lead that and send it up front so everyone can hear me? Or if I'm in my kayak and so just like describing things really, communicative in a way, like that's slow and easy and friendly and supportive, you know, so. So that's the Women on the Water program. We start here in Terrace and then move upstream. We work around the Smithers area.
Oh, yeah.
In the Wasutan and what's that area. And then, so 2 weeks around that area. And then we move to Hazelton, and they run 2 weeks around that section. And then into Kitwanga. It's a little bit south of Hazelton there. There's a program that runs there as well. And we've done some work in the Nass with the Niska community as well, doing some trips. So you look like, I just look back and there's like thousands of people that have been able to get out on the river in a fun way, you know, like just to see it or connect with it. Sorry. Yeah, just. That
is such a sweet program.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. My little guy this year got to do it, and yeah, it's magical. And also it's similar, like teaching someone. Yeah. Here I could say the same things like, don't ever stand up in the moving water, like keep your feet up or whatever. And then like he's got these other folks kind of guiding and teaching him, and it's like it's much better. It's just much easier. Yeah.
What a great opportunity. It really, like I stumbled into it, much like film, like just stumbled into it, and so fortunate to, you know, end up going down that path and having all of that, because there's a lot of training behind it. And then also forming those bonds as well. But just having that information available to me at that point in time was just like, it was life changing. It was so cool. So to hear that there's, you know, a program here for like the younger generation, and then that's so cool. And then Women on Water as well. It's like,
and it's just building capacity that way. It's building these, and too, when we go, like if we're discussing issues, you know, environmental issues, or, you know, it's interesting because what a way to connect with people, because they actually have made a connection to the river in some way. So you are caring about it, right? Like it's interesting too, like as I look back over my life, like with paddling, it's like, just those different engagements and places that I'm caring about. Like I you know, and moving through just to paddle somewhere, but now it's like, oh, like I love these sections. I love all these areas, you know, they become like close to your heart. And so it's interesting, when you have the kids out doing those same things. Yeah, they care about it. They remember it.
Yeah, it definitely does form like a closer bond to, you know, just a piece of highway that happens to be near a river, right? And you're able to see that from a different perspective, and then also most of the time I found that it changes people's view on that perspective, and you're like, you know, getting to show somebody the perspective of this is what it's like from the river, your valley, and, you know, not a lot of people get that, and that is, for me, that is still to this day one of my favorite aspects about guiding, is like being able to share, you know, that bond that is created, and that viewpoint of like, wow, this is spectacular. This really is different here.
No, you're right, because like it is a lot of these areas and places, they're remote, and you do need that sort of whitewater background to bring people in a safe way. So, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's fun to be a part of that now. Different
Yeah.
viewpoints on it, but yeah.
How does Skylar like it?
Oh, he loves it. Yeah, super passionate. Loves it. Wants to jump in the river all the time. He's always like, "Oh, am I good to swim here?" Yeah, he can probably swim. He's like, "Oh, yeah." No, he's loving it. Yeah.
Has
I'm
he-
just slow and slow and easy with the kayaking. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. You kind of hear a couple jet boats, but yeah, that's what's nice about this section too is in a lot of these, like right from our doorstep here, we can put a boat in. Like sometimes I'll just I'll put the sea kayak in. I have a double sea kayak, and
Yeah.
you can just like go on all these little sections all the way down. It's just a fun way to interact with the river. Like you could put a canoe in if that was your style, but like, yeah, just so many close sections that you can interact with the river, and it's part of the community. It's a part of Terrace.
Yeah.
So it's fun to share that with him. Yeah.
I bet, especially if he's interested in it.
Yeah, he
wants
loves
to
it.
check it out more.
Yeah, he's interested. Yeah.
What a great opportunity.
My husband's always like, more river bum showing up. Oh, there's no, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like, huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
More river bums here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of research if you're interested in it is, it just goes so far. And then you start looking into it a lot and you're like, oh, I can imagine there'd be a lot of river bums around or, more nowadays.
I always think like learning to guide, it's got so many transferable skills in life because you're interacting with people. Yeah, connect like all the skills that you would take on the river, but just, and those guiding mentalities of like, social interaction, all the things. There's lots going on there. Yeah, but sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it does transfer for sure. Yeah. A lot of different aspects.
The Youth on the Water program though is just it's challenge by choice. Like some kids, it's not really so much about the guiding part of it, is just to connect them so they have an opportunity to get out on these rivers and learn about it and just learn to swim, learn to do different aspects. So it's
I imagine it's also a big part of teaching a new generation that there are risks and how to mitigate those risks and properly assess a hazard, and then that will even 2 out of 5 friends, 2 take it and 3 don't, like you're still going to be seeing a lot of bikes around, kids on bikes, so kids hang out, they talk, skate parks and whatnot, and it's like that information will eventually transfer out, and which is so good to have in an area with a lot of powerful white water.
Yeah,
and just a lot of wood on the river and a changing river as well. I imagine would be good in the community.
Yeah.
Those are 2 really cool programs.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Oh, and I should note that I think the whole essence of the program was less about like us continuing to guide. So now we have youth that took the program that are fully running the programs. Like they got into it. Like there's a couple. There's a crew from Smithers, and so like they're leading the trips, and same with some of the women like got interested in it, and now they're running it. So it's like this sustaining. Yeah, so it's not just like this outside crew that's doing it, but it's like students that have been through the program, got into it, and now we're running the program. So and kids from these communities. So it's pretty awesome.
Get it with your buddies.
Yeah. So that part I always feel really proud about when you're like, oh my God, you're running the program now. It's amazing. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And then that's just gonna build those bonds that we were talking about earlier. And get that new generation just stoked on getting out and looking up to their older friends and being like, oh,
Yeah, that looks great.
I want to do that. I mean, that's exactly what happened to me. You know, I started washing dishes in a dish pit in a rafting resort,
Oh,
and I was like, man, these people are having fun
They're
when
doing
they're
it.
when they're coming back into the yard. They're
Yeah.
like they're
Yeah.
just so much high energy, and like those bonds. And I was like, should check that out.
let's do this. Yeah.
So it grows exactly like you're talking about, like
Yeah.
seeing locals from the community taking over, and that new generation taking over is like, that's really cool.
In your liability, are you able to do? I can give you a little mini yoga here. Do you want to stretch your
I think
arms?
yoga. Yeah, I think
do
yoga is okay.
Do that.
If it's not, we
Oh
can
my-
blur it out, and
Yeah,
then
we
they
don't
won't be
want
able
it.
to tell what we're doing.
Yeah. True. We can
I'm
do
really
a
good
little
at-
stretch.
I'm really good at masking now, Nicholas. So.
Yeah. Just give you. How are we doing?
Yeah, let's do it.
Are we doing good?
Oh yeah, we're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's
Right
go.
here. So we'll move these out. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was mentioning to these guys, they missed the yoga session because I've been hosting some river yoga here. So I thought we'd get a little connection to the Skeena, get a little breath work, get a little grounding down.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's start by just grounding our feet, even through your shoes, grounding those feet almost like they have like a large root system. We'll just take a nice deep breath in, really filling to the sides of your rib cage from left to right. And then just with your open mouth exhale, breathing out, releasing those shoulders down. We'll inhale, we'll take the shoulders up, back and down, releasing those arms. We'll ground through those feet again, so we'll start by just making that connection through the feet. Take a nice deep breath in, expand through that rib cage, and then slowly open your mouth, exhaling, and relax those shoulders back and down. Just so we have some room, we'll bend our knees slightly, just grounding through the feet. The feet can be just hip width apart. We'll inhale, we'll draw the arms up. Inhaling up, bend the knees, exhale, we'll do a forward fold. So bend those knees. Inhaling, we'll come halfway up. So just slide your hands just below your knees. We'll take the head towards the river. Inhale and then exhale, let something go. Bend those knees, breathe out. What can you let go from the morning, from the day so far? Connect through those feet. Arms go wide. We'll inhale all the way up to the sky. Hands are together. Exhaling, hands over your heart. We'll just draw them here for a moment. And then exhale to release those palms to face towards the river. And we'll do that again, inhaling, arms up. Bend the knees, forward fold, exhale. Inhaling, bend the knees slightly. We'll extend through the back, the top of the head, towards the river. Exhale, forward fold. Bend the knees a lot so the chest can draw towards the thighs here. We'll breathe in. What can you let go? Let something out. Breathe out. What can you release from the morning? An old story you've had from the day, but let it go. Maybe thinking what you want to cultivate. What can you really draw in for the day? Let's inhale. Let's draw it halfway up. And release one more time. Forward fold. Bend those knees. Chest draws forward. Grounding through those feet. Arms draw wide. Inhaling all the way up. Exhale, hands over your heart. And just bow down the head to release. And we'll reset with the palms towards the river. Do you guys want to... is that good? Do you want me to keep going? I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, if you're enjoying it, I think we are too.
Oh,
Yeah.
are you good?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Just if you can take one more step-ish in front again.
In front?
Yeah, like where you were.
Oh, up in here?
Yeah.
So let's inhale. We'll draw those shoulders up. And exhale, draw the shoulders down. Nice. take a nice step forward. We'll take a forward step with the right foot. So we're going to bend forward through that right foot. We can draw the hands towards that right knee. So we'll do ankle and knee. And then we'll inhale. We'll draw those palms up towards each other. So the back heel is drawing down. The shoulders are open. We'll inhale and exhale. Open the arms down. So just let them come down by your waist. And then we'll inhale to open those palms together. And then release. Exhale, draw those arms out. Inhale, arms come up together. Nice. And we'll exhale to draw ourselves down. We'll do a little paddling one here. So we'll take the left arm down towards the sand and just draw in the energy. So you're bending through that right knee and just a little bit of movement front to back. Yeah, you can draw your back foot back further if you want. Yeah, perfect. And just sort of drawing some energy here. So we'll take that right arm towards the knee. So the right arm here is on the knee. And then we're going to open up like we're going to high five someone. Breathe out. Just easy does it. Draw that arm up towards the sky, the best that you can. And then exhale, this top arm drop forward so it sweeps in front of those toes. Inhaling, exhale, draw out and open to expand. Inhaling, draw that arm forward. And then exhale to expand. Opening, beautiful. Exhale, we'll swim that arm forward and we're going to take both feet to face each other. So both are turning and we're just going to draw ourselves up that right leg. So the hands are just below the knees, both hips are facing forward and just extending, drawing energy through those hamstrings, bending that right knee. And if you can, think about drawing that right hip back. Yeah. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
And then inhale and exhale, we'll draw our foot back. So standing again. Just ground through those feet. Breathing in. We'll just take a moment here. Just noticing into your senses. What are you hearing? Breathing out. Let those shoulders release back and down. Let's do another big breath. Inhale. Expand through those ribs. Open your mouth. Exhale out. Let something go. Release those shoulders back and down. We'll inhale, we'll draw those arms up. Bend the knees, forward fold. We'll inhale, we'll come halfway. So bend the knees, extend your head towards the river, lengthening through those hamstrings. Inhale here and exhale, bend forward so the chest comes towards your thighs. What can we release? What can you breathe out? Bend those knees. Inhale, arms draw wide. We'll draw them all the way up. Exhale, breathing out. Let the palms come over the heart. And then releasing those hands to face the river. We'll just do the other leg and then we'll take her easy. So we'll take a nice wide step forward with the left foot this time. The back foot is anchored, so we're actually coming up onto the toes on the back foot and we have both hips facing the river. So we can extend. Of course, if we needed, we could always drop that right knee down, but if not, push the energy through that back right heel. Mm-hmm. The arms are just long. We'll inhale to draw the arms up. Exhale to release, so palms draw down. Draw those shoulders down. Inhale up. One last time to release. This time we'll take that right arm down. We could prop you up on a rock if you want to with that right arm if you want. Use a rock here. So we'll inhale to open up that left side, breathing in. Exhale, left arm comes in front of the feet. Inhale to expand. Exhale, breathe out. Let's do that one more time. Inhale to open and expand. Exhale. This time we're going to swim that left arm forward and then we'll take both feet together. Not together, sorry, into a pyramid pose. So both feet are facing forward and we'll just find ourselves either with the hand below that left knee or maybe above, depending where you're feeling comfortable. But just trying to release that chest towards your thigh. That left hip is pulling back. Nowhere to be but here. Inhaling, we'll draw ourselves forward and we'll bring both legs together. And if you're comfortable, we can just sit on the sand. Are you guys okay for that for just a moment? Okay. So we'll find ourselves seated. And we could lay down, but I think just where we are would be the best for a seated position. We'll come into a little body relaxation and just sort of connecting with place here. So just finding those sits bones, connecting into the earth. Just arriving, and whichever river I'm on, I always want to find that place of gratitude. So if we're just finding that space and time, gratitude for this unceded Tsimshian territory that we're practicing on today, and we arrived at. We can close the eyes, releasing through the lower bodies. So just allow those sits bones to release and connect down. Take ourselves on a short ride on the Skeena River. So just relaxing into that low body. Come into a short little river meditation.
What is this magical wonderland where there's no people and the deepest snow ever and all these great things?
I'm Mike. I'm hanging out here with Tyler. Pretty rad individual. He's gonna tell us all about what he does and why he moved to Terrace.
Awesome. I actually moved to Terrace for skiing, even though we're talking about mountain biking today. Almost a month here after I graduated, living in an RV, further snowboarding.
Yeah.
And decided this was a place that I needed to spend.
In that camper, how many nights do you spend up in the parking lot of Shames there?
Like at least 2 to 3 weeks, I think it was, when we went to Stewart, and part of a 4-month trip all through BC that ended in Alaska. But of all places in BC, Revelstoke, Nelson, Pemberton, Whistler, Haines, Alaska, all the places we visited, Terrace was the one. So here we are, 15 years later.
That says a lot right there.
Yeah.
I've been to 3 of the handful that you listed off there, and yeah, pretty excited to add Terrace to that. You know, it's not that bad. Don't worry about it though. I wouldn't make the journey up here. Or
Terrace
over here,
sucks.
or wherever you
Tell
are.
your friends. That's the
Yeah.
hashtag to use.
We'll put that in the
Yeah.
in the metadata there. That's pretty wild. So it grabbed you pretty hard then.
Yeah, that a lot of the other just like life attributes of it. There eventually was work when things picked up in like 2010 with industrial projects in the area. Houses are reasonable.
Right.
Community is super cool. Is welcoming. Everyone's friendly.
It is, man.
You go ski touring at Shames, and this is a thing coming from the Lower Mainland or any other resort you've been to. Everybody who's going to go ski touring that day will just dump their backpack at the top of the chairlift, at the T-bar, and leave it there for several hours while they do inbounds laps, and then they go touring, and nobody steals your backpack. I mean, don't. I mean, everybody's going to come up here and take backpacks now. But
no, I don't.
It's that kind of community, right?
I don't think that's the culture that that this community fosters.
People trust everyone. You can like just show up and meet a group of friends and go, kind of thing.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That only happens at like the smaller, where that community is like Skookum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. People are supportive and welcoming. So.
Yeah. We found that like right off the hop. You know, we rolled into Terrace and cracked our door and went into our first interview, and it was like, so much information right off the bat, and really welcoming, big smiles. Really cool place. You've found yourself.
Glad you experienced it.
Yeah. So beyond the skiing and that. What else are you involved in here? Torca is.
Torca. So when I first moved here in 2013, I been a volunteer in the mountain bike world since I was 14 years old, I think, and so I seeked out trying to get involved and find some people. And at the time, then there was like a few dedicated people working in a basement, making things happen. There was a few trails, and I just tried to reach out and offer my skills and experience coming from working with North Shore Mountain Bike Association in the past in Vancouver, and being a trail builder and working in parks to try to help out. And so I've been on the board since day one. And I think I've been the president. This is maybe like year 7 in a row, I think.
7 years on.
Yeah. So things have changed quite a bit over that period of time, and it's been amazing. It's hard to be a volunteer a lot of times, but it's been the easiest volunteer job I think I've done in the terms of motivating, because it's been successful.
Yeah.
Like mountain biking has exploded here everywhere over COVID, but just like the funding and the support from the land managers and the city and everything's come together, and it's like the network is 4 times the size than when I moved here. And we have this asphalt pump track behind us for kids to learn on now, and it's a totally different place.
This is like right in town.
It's right in the middle. Yes, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And and it's just been a journey of kind of like developing and being part of finding out what the community wanted and getting it. Mountain biking historically, if you've ever been out, it's a pretty extreme sport, and it was always built by a select few advanced people building trails for themselves, right? And it's become such a mainstream sport now that a lot of the new activity or the demand is to make it a mainstream sport, right? Where opportunities for all ages and abilities to get involved, and just supporting beginners, and the spectrum of users out there is completely different than when I was 14 years old riding the shore, jumping off skinnies and drops made for the homies, right? So
I mean, coming at it from from a different area, coming into a community, and then signing up day one, that must have been pretty well to see the progression from trails just blowing up everywhere.
Totally.
And seeing the fruits of your labor, really, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
And just getting your passion and spreading it to younger generations, and also your new community here.
Yeah, definitely. And like a lot of it was like mountain biking and Terrace, I think, developed a lot differently than a lot of other older mountain bike communities. Like I'd say it's relatively young on the scale. And when I'd moved, Torca's been around, I think we're at like 24 years in some capacity.
Oh yeah.
But the development was always like well planned, well thought out, and done generally like through the correct channels of like land authorizations and things like that. And when I moved here, the kind of groundwork was set for success. There was no like battling with land managers and things like that. It was like those relationships were established, agreements were in place. So when it was like,
that's got to help a lot.
Yeah, when kind of like as the sport becomes a mainstream and there's more funding available to like execute bigger projects like this, like it was an easy sell in Terrace because we'd already built like these positive relationships, and there's tons of people before me, not just me. I just happen to have the right timing, I think, but there's like
for sure
so many people before me that like set that up, and it was almost, I'm gonna say it was easy, but a lot easier than a lot of other places you might visit with a mountain bike community that don't have the same sort of like, they're battling private land managers or liability problems, or we want to be rail crossing, things like that. Like a lot of just easy relationships with land managers to get things done, and good support and right people in town to make it happen. So
yeah, we ran into Dave, and he was so stoked to tell us about you guys. And seems like an avid biker, and just extremely stoked that biking was such a big part of his community, and then he was able to point us in the right direction to chase down you guys.
Yeah,
but
well, it helps having a guy like him on city council.
I bet. Yeah.
Always good.
What are some what are some? Do you have any pointers for any other communities out there across Canada that want to, you know, follow in the successful footsteps?
I think so. I think like, yeah, building like as a not-for-profit advocacy group, right? Like, which is where a lot of mountain biking sort of started, or first it started with those same people just going and doing it on the land base, right? But realizing they needed to have a group to advocate for interests, right? There's various types of organizations, and I think now that the sport is mainstream, like the best advice I could give to truly like make the sport sustainable is, rather than having volunteers trying to do all the work themselves, is like spend more time working with those organizations that have the capacity to help execute, right? Like work with your land managers, work with your city, whatever the jurisdiction is, because the way the sport is today, like volunteers can't come out with their shovels on Tuesday night and build a pump track. You need hundreds of thousands of dollars, you need land, you need support, you need construction experts, you need designers, you need all sorts of technical expertise to like get the infrastructure to the expectations of mountain bikers and communities today. And so I think that's like the best advice I could give, is like shifting focus from like, oh, we have to go out and shovel everything ourselves, to being more of a, I don't know, a more managerial or advocacy approach, and trying to help facilitate rather than the requirement to do. And that shift is really happening, I think, in a lot of places. So a lot of like cities and things too, or land management agencies that would be like providing recreation for communities, or that would be like the advice, is like help facilitate those volunteers, right? And you have really passionate people in communities, and lots of times it's just a matter of giving direction, getting the right technical experts, the right, you know, resources to make it happen, do it properly. So
Grow those connections.
yeah,
Talk with. Sounds like just networking a lot.
a lot of networking, working together. Yes, like, just like everything.
For sure.
Can't do it all yourself.
Yeah. I imagine. How does Torca have a relationship with the First Nations around here? Because that's also a huge presence in Terrace, and it's like so cool to see.
Yes, we do, and it's as with any other probably land use groups out there in the world, we have lots and lots and lots of work to do on that front still, as everybody does. But yes, it's happening. We're working together with the local First Nations, and that's part of, like, you know, in these getting relationships with land managers or land owners of the land, right? It's really it has shifted and always should have shifted, but even just the practical administration of land is going to change with treaties and new deals getting signed, to like and even how the government is setting up framework. So it's like, those relationships and involving Indigenous peoples, how they want to be involved in these projects, and using the land in respectful ways that engage everybody, right? And finding opportunities, and to just have everybody participate in the way they want to participate, I think is probably the biggest challenge these days, or goal.
Yeah. I mean, I think most people that are, you know, have either walked down to a river or, you know, walked in the forest, are like, oh, everyone should do this. Yes. And so doing that in a respectful way is and then also making it accessible for, you know, almost everyone that wants to partake is like, crucial.
Big part of it, yeah. Mountain biking is not for the elite anymore. It's definitely, well, it needs to be, you know, more inclusive to more ages and abilities. It's an inherently like challenging, dangerous sport, but like facilities like this one, like the pump track, offer anybody with some wheeled mechanism to come out and cruise around, right? Scooters, bikes, whatever. It's free. It's right in town. Like, you don't need to have your parents drive you way out here. Doesn't matter what color, gender, age, race, anything. It's like, you can come use these type of facilities. So
come out here and listen to the chipmunks and enjoy it.
Exactly. And the mountain biking obviously inherently has this, you know, you watch any media and it's pros riding $10,000 mountain bikes, and yes, there is dangerous stuff out there, and to get to a level, you need that equipment. But like other types of facilities like this, close to town, or we'll go out riding after on these hub trails here, meant to be like something that you don't need you can get a $500 bike at Canadian Tire, or a used one hand me down from someone on the street, right? And you can still get out and try the sport out, right? And build and inspire, hopefully, inspire a kid to do something with recreation instead of playing video games, and do better in school or whatever it is, right?
Yeah. And then that in turn also, I imagine, sparks another fire to, grab a shovel and also come and sign up.
Yeah,
Go
that
build some trails.
helps too, yeah.
And just, it grows that community more and more.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's, if somebody was young and looking to start, getting involved in trail building like you've done, what would be a good avenue for them to pursue?
I think when I was 14, which is a long time ago now, I actually went to a trail day for the North Shore Mountain Bike Association, which is held by, or the Torca holds these every Tuesday night, except it's kind of in the middle of the heat of summer here, but spring and fall we do them, where there's, we've got the projects picked out for maintenance off the list. There's experienced people to help lead and guide. There's tools provided, and that's the best way to get involved, I think, in terms of physically doing the work. Other ways, like just getting your membership with the organization in your local town or anywhere you visit. We all pack up the truck and go drive around all summer and think it's a free trip to use trails, but really these things cost money and have impacts with maintenance. So buying a membership or a trail pass or whatever it is, a donation for visiting communities really helps. And then I think the third way is like local businesses in particular that benefit from having these facilities in town. Like if your staff moved there, if you were able to attract and retain someone because their family moved because there's mountain biking in Terrace, that'd be a great reason to make a sponsorship to your local trail organization or anything like that, right? And even just things as easy as letters of support and showing up, donate some prizes to give out at the next event or something, right? Like every little bit helps build that community and brand awareness of trail organizations and brings it all together.
Yeah, I can imagine that'd be a pretty sweet thing for I don't know, like I built trails in my home community, and there's not a huge community of bikers. Like there's maybe a handful of my friends, but to show up to it a day where it's like planned out,
help you out. Yeah,
because I mean, back then I wasn't looking at maps or like planning out the best route.
I built my first ladder out of hockey sticks and cut off 2x4s and got yelled at by some old guy for doing it wrong, but there's lots to learn. And I think a lot of stuff, like the perception, like you open up Pink Bike and go see something and it's glorified to be a trail builder and go build a rake and a loamer and shred it, and like the reality is that's not the way forward for communities to develop trails. The way forward is through proper channels of like getting land use sorted out, planning careful, safety and building things to standards, and that's the stuff that you can learn. And it's like moving away of less important to be out there with a shovel to build something new, but rather to help take care of it at the end of the day, right? Be an advocate, be an ambassador for your community on it, and showing that support even in other ways, or join a board if you have skills like like Torca. Like we need an accountant. You know nothing about mountain biking, right? But like having an accountant, keep the books and deal with grant money, things like that, right?
Grant writers.
Yeah, if you're a lawyer, like risk management stuff. Like there's all these aspects of the managing mountain biking that are completely different than going out with the shovel. And to be fully honest, like my career being trail planning and design is like I would prefer to have professionals build trails, right? Like I would rather have paid professional contractors execute things. And the best trails you've ever ridden probably were built by a professional. The ones that last longer than a year anyways, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, the world's shifting that way, and that'll be the future. And then volunteer groups like us will show our support doing those sort of like other roles and maintenance, taking care of it afterwards, right? Helping facilitate those events. You want to volunteer to be a marshal at our race that you guys came to the other night, right? That's the perfect ways to help support and grow the mountain bike community in your hometown.
How did that race go, by the way?
It was great. I think we had
How many?
32 people, which
Oh, yeah.
doesn't sound like a lot, but it was a lot for whatever it was, a Tuesday night or Wednesday
Tuesday,
night or
yeah.
something like that.
Tuesday, July.
Yeah, a bunch of them were, kids under 12 even came out, which was pretty cool to see them get into it. And probably like 10 volunteers helping out, and it's just another, thing that builds the community and hopefully inspires one of those kids. Maybe he'll be a bike racer or whatever. They gained some fitness and went out and played, and they were at home watching mindless YouTube videos. Hopefully they're watching your show, but
Oh, hopefully it's not mindless.
that one's on the on the watch list permitted by parents. But
yeah, I hope there's something to be gained from all the work that Emma and I have put in over the last couple of months. I think so. Yeah, big fingers
For sure.
crossed. No, I think there is, but also there is some knowledge to be gained from YouTube, but at the same time, getting out there and getting involved in your
people in
whatever
real
your
life.
local community is that you want to involve yourself in. So much more important. And I put some good money down that Terrace would probably put out, a couple really, really strong mountain bikers.
I hope so. There's definitely a few that are under the age of 15 or just about as fast as adults in town. So it's coming.
What were some times on the races? It was timed, wasn't it?
It was timed. Yeah,
Yeah.
we did the Lichen Loop descent down Terrace, and
Yeah.
I think best time was just over 5 minutes, which is pretty great. There's a couple of big climbs in the middle of it. So people were working pretty hard. It's a true enduro stage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it was pretty close. A lot of people were within 10% of each other.
Oh.
So pretty fun. And yeah, I think there's a few kids that are, like I said, he just turned 15, Magnus, and he's probably going to take us out next year for the adults.
Coming for you.
He's already 6'2", so.
Is that the one you're bugging, where you're like, oh, you should join the kids?
Yeah. Oh, I can't remember who
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
But anyways, yeah.
Man, that looked, I wish we could have hiked in a little bit and saw a couple legs of that, but I think by that time we were pretty
You're
beat.
probably at the end of your day, yeah.
Yeah. So, what are some challenging aspects of your role with Torca?
I think that's a good question. Being a volunteer is a thankless job sometimes. And I probably will put on the hat of not just myself, but all
Across
sort of
the board of
Torca
volunteers.
board or all volunteer boards is you still do. It's hard to hear the negative things, and people still will say it, right? And it's not like they're trying to. It's not against Tyler or Alexa or any other board member, right? But it's you interpret it that way. You put your heart and soul in, and your payment was zero, except having some trails. So somebody's not happy. Sometimes the response feels like, oh, hey, welcome to take over my job anytime you'd like, right? Joke aside, though, but yeah, just keeping it positive and constructive through all that, and remembering the outcomes at the end of the day, light
That's
at the
a
end of
big
the tunnel.
outcome. Yeah.
Yeah, and projects like this, like Torca, basically project and construction managed this in the heart of COVID when you weren't even allowed to interact with people outside, and it was quite the feat. But it was a lot of stress on people's lives. For volunteers to manage a $400,000 construction project is a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
On top of your job, on top of your family, on top of
Yeah.
COVID
Yeah. All that downtime.
problems, depression, everything was going through, locked in your basement, right? So it's that was tough, but it's all worth it at the end of the day when you're here and you get to use the stuff and
Well said. Yeah.
I think a lot of groups too, like I said, when I moved to Terrace, a lot of that groundwork of like relationships with the land managers and like positive relationship with the First Nations and things like that. Like it was relatively easy or comparatively easy to some other communities to get projects approved and get funding for things, but there's places that like have the opposite, where like they're fighting their land manager constantly, or they're constantly getting things shut down or taken away, and it's like feels like a losing battle sometimes. So yeah, for volunteer groups, that's another tough one to take. And yeah, I think that's,
I can see that.
and it's hard when you're not winning, right? It's
Yeah.
easy to volunteer time when every year another cool piece of infrastructure is getting built. It's hard when it's just answering emails about stuff, admin that you don't want to deal with, right? So I see that a lot in like my professional job.
Yeah.
Like I work with a lot of other groups, and it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you see them struggle, or groups are like overwhelmed. Like the expectations are so high now of executing a new construction project for a trail, as an example, or the management and the liability. And it's like you get a group of volunteers together in a small town, everybody looks at each other and is like, do you know how to do that? I don't know how to do that. You know how to do that? And like, well, we don't know how to do that. Like, what do we do? And meeting those expectations is hard, I think.
Yeah.
This is why I have a professional career in trail consulting and planning. That's where I come in. But
You either know how to do it, or you know somebody who knows how to
find
do
someone
it.
to do it. And,
Yeah.
and the reality is, though, that takes money. So it's
For
like
sure.
that whole cycle of like, if you're a business in your town, you want to support having this, like extra $500 or $5,000, whatever your business can afford, right? That helps get that expertise to make the things happen. It's like a full picture circle, right?
And just makes that light at the end of the tunnel just so much brighter.
Helps
Yeah.
facilitate getting to it, at least, right? Pay someone to
Yeah.
get there or whatever,
Yeah.
or like the right people volunteering, right?
Yeah.
But not everywhere has every expertise needed to do everything needed for a volunteer organization, right? So
Yeah, and I imagine it's not always feasible to, fly somebody in or get someone outside help to, assist with your project.
totally. And even like half the time, the line managers, you'd be like, what do you want? And they don't give you a straight answer.
Right.
You ask on Tuesday and Wednesday, you get a different answer.
Right.
You
That
ask
would
in
be-
town A and town B, and it's just like everybody's learning. It's all it's happening, and as the sport becomes mainstream, it's like getting more defined. But
Yeah, I think more and more people are seeing like, yeah, don't close down the skate parks.
no,
Don't
build another one actually.
just build more, and don't close down the playgrounds.
No.
Maybe that wasn't the best idea.
No.
Encourage that use of energy outside and get people moving.
Like COVID exposed that outdoor recreation gap immensely, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
just our network, you looked statistics for trail use, like 400% increase the first year of COVID. And that's like everywhere had the same thing, right?
Wild, yeah.
And then the number of people in the sport, like all sport, hiking, camping, like everything is wildly overwhelmed now, right? And spending on that recreation infrastructure has, like you've seen that ramp up, and everywhere has kind of experienced to try to catch up to it.
Trying to follow it, yeah.
I think, and and I think that like exposed the importance of it, and like, government would spend several $100,000s on a playground. That was like an expected thing in a town, right? Not this, but now this is the new playground, right? The pump track.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing it happen and catch up after COVID, but definitely got.
How long did this one take to? I'm guessing there was like some pretty decent planning into it.
Yeah, this is like
looks extremely fun.
Yeah, it's fully like designed by a specialty pump track
Yeah.
design build company. That like the actual design of the rollers and everything like that was like carefully done in AutoCAD, and then like laid out and surveyed. And the whole front end work to it, like the parts that Torca really worked on, were like getting the grant funding for it, which took years, and getting the land acquired from the city, like, you know, going, and that, you know, took several years as well, right?
Right.
And at the end of the day, you know, building it took 4 weeks.
It was 4 weeks?
Yeah, this seems like nothing compared to the 2 year lead up to it, right?
That's the thing, is like there's always a mountain of either, you know, a combination of emails and back end work and networking, and
Going
there's
to
just so
city
much more
council
that,
meetings,
yeah.
groveling and begging and pleading, all the things, yeah.
Yeah. And then, yeah, to have it completed in 4 weeks, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
dang.
Yeah.
But now, I mean,
Now it's here.
it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it, yeah. I imagine this gets, I mean, a little rainy today.
Yeah, it was
Probably-
only a solid 20 mil rain day, so it's probably scared a few people away.
Yeah, yeah. I imagine that's not too bad for Terrace, though.
No, that's standard. Actually, this is what a facility like this is great for. Trails are all wet today.
Exactly.
Asphalt's great as soon as it stops raining. So
Yeah, yeah.
you can get out.
Yeah, you can't damage it too hard with the
Nope.
with the rain. A little bit of moisture on it. Yeah, yeah. You were saying at the race there was like a bunch of top canopy, and that the trail that you guys held the race on doesn't.
Oh, when
maybe,
it just
maybe it was
didn't.
Theo.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Theo I was chatting with about that.
No, I think the rain made it through the trees now.
Yeah?
But
So a rain that heavy or like that consistent, that'll start touching up the trails a little bit.
yes.
Yeah.
Normally we don't have a dust problem in Terrace,
Yeah.
but this year we've had a pretty dry start to summer, so it was a little dusty, but we were thankful to absorb some rain, I think, the last few days.
Yeah.
So I think there's some other parts of the province right now that would be wishing for the same rainstorm.
Oh man,
You weren't kidding about them starting out.
absolutely. Yeah.
Oh yeah, perfect.
No training wheels.
No
Cruising.
There's
Yeah.
like kids like about like 2, they can start to ride or even younger, like just kind of year and a half, they can like push little run bikes around on the pump track, which is pretty good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
Is so good. What for trail building? What are the best conditions to go out and shovel in the dirt?
Shoveling definitely around here. I think probably most places like spring and fall.
Oh yeah.
When there is some moisture, like if dirt's just bone dry and powder, it's pretty hard to do it. So yeah, like most of our work usually occurs those 2 times a year. In Terrace in particular, it's very wet in fall and early season. So drainage is one of our biggest things with trail maintenance and construction.
Yeah.
So seeing it at its wettest in the fall or the spring, it's actually helpful.
Oh yeah.
If you go
So
build in the summer, it's kind of like, oh yeah, there's no water here, like.
Right.
And then you go there in the fall and water just appears out of the ground for no reason. So yeah, it's often quite helpful to do it in the spring and the fall. So
You have the keys? Okay. Yeah. I imagine. I mean, it is rainforest around here, isn't it?
it's definitely
Yeah.
rainforest. It's quite similar to like, Squamish, North Vancouver type like terrain and weather. I would say a little colder, more of the year, but
Right.
yeah.
So yeah, you would have that, like, all of a sudden there's just a puddle.
Just
where
appears,
there's-
just comes out, seeps out of the bank, wherever. You're like, how did that happen?
How do you mitigate? I don't know, water flow or
Drainage.
drainage. Yeah.
Stuff on the trails. Yeah, lots of you go around, just like lots of ditching and like really. We try. I'd say like the number one thing is like proper layout and like design of the trails, meaning they're not like fall line and straight downhill, and like they're sustainably built or sustainably designed, and so like that way it's like a bit easier to build. So the water doesn't run down the trails constantly, right? They've got ditching and crossings and avoiding water courses and wet areas and things like that. So, and then maintenance-wise, every year is like a big matter of spring cleanup is a big one after the winter. Snow melt and ice like heave up our trails. So like big amount of the work is like repairing that winter damage from, or like this winter we didn't have a lot of snow, but it was frozen. Then it rained. It was like rain on frozen ground, caused a bunch of ruts, and there's no fix for that except to go fix it this
Just
spring.
get out there and
Yeah.
rake it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alexa, our trail director, vice president, who's been on the board as long as me, is the number one trail maintainer for us. So
Oh yeah.
she, without her, we'd still be riding in the ruts from this winter, I think.
Not shy of picking up some tools.
Yeah.
What's the process though? Like, when you're, for a decent trail to be made, are you looking at maps? Are you out there walking the land before you're flagging it or building it? Or are you would you walk me through the process?
Walk through the process. Definitely a lot of time. Well, Terrace were familiar enough, but I think the step one before all of that is, like I said, is dealing with those like relationships with Indigenous and making sure you have permission. You're in the right, not permission, but like a partnership.
Yeah.
To work in the right place, and
Yeah.
you're like hearing the stakeholders' opinions and desires and needs, and like avoiding sensitive places, sharing things that need to be shared, things like that. So like way before we even go put a shovel in the ground, I think that's where like the most work needs to be put in the mountain bike world. Then two is like, working with like the administrative side of land management. This is all really boring. I know we want to talk about
No.
trail building.
No. Like
this is the reality. Yeah, is like
hearing the reality is like, I haven't heard the reality.
Yeah.
I mean, I can only assume. So like,
yeah.
I find it interesting, and then I'm gonna make them.
Hopefully someone else does. Yeah.
I'm gonna make them find it.
But like
too.
finding out who your land manager is. Like you need to get a permit from
Yeah.
the city or the province or the federal government or whatever, right? And like doing another step is going to be like environmental constraints. Are you working in like sensitive habitats? Are you like things like that? There's tools you can use, at least in BC, to like screen and see if you're going to need to do any kind of environmental work. All this is before you need to have like an area in mind that you wanted to put a trail. So I guess you've like done some work looking at maps, but usually that's the easy part. The people know where they want to put their trails, right? But like finding those suitable places, and then making sure, I think last step is that it all fits in a big picture. Like a trail by trail approach is great and it's fun, but like great places, great destinations to ride have like a holistic plan that put the whole riding experience together, right? And it's not just a trail for the couple of advanced dudes that want to go ride. It's like in Terrace in particular, the last like 5 years, like most of our trails we built were green and blue and pump tracks, right? And like at the time you looked at it on the board of directors, and most of us were like, a pump track, like, oh, what do we need that for, right? But like we had heard from our community we needed places that were more accessible and allowed like introduction to the sport, right? And like those are the things, like when you've got that plan, you can go to a grant agency or your land manager and say like, hey, we need to fill this, like address this gap in our community to like make it a better place, right? It's so much easier than just like going out with the bros, like shoveling in your jumps and like asking for forgiveness later, right? That's how the sport started 25 years ago, but it's like not how it goes today anymore, or not the right way to do it anyways.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
It's an approach, but it's not a.
It's not the one
not
that's
the
sustainable.
longevity
No.
of it. Yeah.
And it's not the way that's gonna like, meet your community's needs, right? So, the actual physical part of the trail building, it's like I said, it's almost like Torqua's. Like I said, we haven't built trails, but it's like 95% of the work was done by paid contractors from there, right? We like paid design professionals to like go and do the layout and get all those permits and approvals to like seal the deal, put packages together, and like when these big grant projects are funding, it's like you have to spend like you got to do a tender or a bid process, just like the city would for a road or a building or whatever, right? So we go out, and there's enough like in everywhere across Canada now, there's professional trail builders and designers you can get to do this work, and doing it that way I just think brings up the like level of our sport and
Yeah.
the deliverable to communities, the outcomes are better and more sustainable and yeah, benefit for everybody.
And it also, like you were saying earlier, when you first showed up, I think you were talking about it. You were like, first showed up in Terrace, I should say. You were talking about like, you know, you can go into the backcountry and leave your backpack, and it you know, it's about fostering that that like good community standard of like, hey, here we can.
We're filming an interview. So we're doing like live TV.
How you doing?
Now.
Yeah,
I'm on live.
you're on it. Yeah,
Shred it up.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like, exactly like that. Just like, you know, that like wanting to be part of it and keeping up those like good standards starts with that back end work of like approaching everyone that needs to be approached and going about it the right way.
Yeah. Hearing what your community needs, and
Yeah.
it's not
Putting in
about
those
what
green
Tyler
trails and-
wants because I'm the president of Torca and I'm gonna go build trails for me. It's, although I do like them,
Yeah.
but it's and it's honestly like that big shift, like particularly during COVID, but like as the sport became mainstream, and if the mountain bike world wants to be funded and get this infrastructure paid for from tax dollars, is like we need to treat it the same way any government treats any infrastructure projects in a community, right? It's got to benefit everybody and, you know, be good for the whole. It's like we're not going to go spend $500,000 on a thing that only 5% of mountain bikers can use, right? It's like we need to address those gaps in the big picture. And I think in Terrace, that was like our big success. Like the part of the big like pitch we put forward to the city to help facilitate this project was like for this reason, that it's accessible to like way more people than our mountain bike network out there at Spring Creek, which, like, you know, a kid after school is probably not going to pedal 10 kilometers up the road to go there on their own, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like this zone helped us like put that argument together, and
Yeah.
every non-mountain biker on council was like, that sounds like a great idea. You know what I mean? Like, it was easy sell versus like, hey, we want to build this huge junk park for all the bros over here on like this, hitting a fraction, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah. Casting that wide net.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Talking with your local entities, important. That's what I'm hearing. And I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Makes lots of sense.
Don't go and build those guerrilla trails, folks.
Yes, yes.
That's what I was doing back when I was trail building.
Yes, that's what we all did when we were kids.
Trail building, yeah. I mean, it was kind of already there. It was a goat path.
Yep.
I don't know. I think we have an audience question.
What do you love about mountain biking? Mike's gonna repeat it because people can't hear me.
Yeah.
Emma's asking, what do you love about mountain biking?
What do I love about mountain biking? I think on a personal level, for me, it's like my fitness and my life, like keeps me healthy. It's like my thing to drive, like at the end of the day. I'm like, great, I can go for a bike ride now. Social, like with friends and see the community.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is for me. And like, I think I like seeing more in like the outcomes of my work in Terrace or anywhere I go, like doing it with as like a professional trail designer, is like seeing that communities grow, and it just like can like change people and communities and like can change a kid's life, right, and send them in the right way. Like me and you, whatever, we could have been slinging PG show, doing bad things on the streets. Instead, we were up. Our parents were probably like, "Oh, they're just out there digging holes with their friends in the bush," right? Like, sure, we still did some dumb stuff, but
Exactly.
we turned out all right at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, I like to think
And
so.
you can just see though like, how it changes, you know, inspires a kid, whoever sends them in this direction instead of that one, right?
Oh man, it's such a good waste of time, and it's not a waste of time. It's
a
like
waste of time.
it is like it's all consuming, and it's a great passion and sport to be consumed by.
Yes.
It's only going to better you, and you know, your stoke on it is probably going to rub off on your friends. I know it did for some of mine growing up, and I was like, hey man, just take my bike, rip around, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh,
It's pretty fun.
I should get a bike. You know, and then we just started building bikes, and it's like, it's a good better, it's a better thing that you can do than a lot of things. Yeah. There's a lot of other other trails you can go down, but like
we could be hanging out in the parking lot with the
I mean, not to say that 4x4ing isn't a bad is
Yeah.
a bad hobby, but like I you know, it's
4x4 that.
well,
Yeah.
come on, they don't know what's going on over there. I wholeheartedly agree there. The social aspect of it, huge, and then also being able to go out and see, you know, the terrain that your area has to offer or somebody else's area has to offer. I always find that really cool, like going somewhere else that I've never been before, and getting that tour from the local or, you know, whatever it is. And I'm like, just being outside on your bike is like,
It's your escape. Yes.
yeah. What do you see in the future for Torca with all your folks behind it?
What do I see in the future? Well, we're actually doing a grant currently to do a master plan for sort of like the next 5 to 10 years of development and like go back to our community. And we sort of did this about 5 years ago, and the COVID jackpot of funding actually like ticked the majority of the boxes. Like we've kind of like done a lot of these major projects and it's happened. The sport is growing and it's like time to go back and like hear again from the community, I think, what they want to see next and do next, and then get that on paper so it can kind of guide Torca and the community, whoever wants to execute it, to what comes next. What are we missing? I think there's still a pretty big gap of sort of beginner, introductory, and accessible infrastructure. So I suspect a lot of those kind of things. But yeah, at least we'll find out. I can't wait to hear from them, I think.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
When do you know roughly the timeline for that?
Yeah, it'll be like over, kind of start up this winter and then do next summer, and there'll be like opportunities for public input and working with stakeholders and First Nations and everything. You kind of, you know, identify like what is next. And there's also a thing, I'm gonna maybe get a little bit off topic, but like, not off topic, but like, I don't like mountain biking is always, it's cool. It's like, oh, new trail, I shred the new Lomer, I did all the, it's like, I think there's like a point where we're gonna like start to see like, maybe we don't need more. Like everybody has to like look in the mirror and be like, do I really need 2 more trail? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's great and it's cool, but like, maybe instead of, you know, having more impact on our land, we have less and like try to fix up old things and repurpose them, or who knows, right? Like it doesn't constantly need to be new development. I would think most mountain bikers out there would consider themselves some level of care about the environment or climate change or impacts, right? And it's like, we don't necessarily need to just keep growing and building more. It's more like doing the right things to hit the little gaps. And so that's why I think like hearing in our case or any community's case is just like hearing what's needed. It's not just we need a thing X in our town because someone else has it, right? It's
right.
Like,
And I imagine there's a point where like, you grow a network of trails so large that eventually the upkeep for them
it gets beyond volunteer capacity, or whatever.
Yeah.
And
so, imagine managing that, and then, like you're saying, like being more conscious of your impact on the land, and the upkeep, but then also growing
advocating too with like how to manage all the things we have, right? And like managing the impacts and ensuring the use and activating areas and like engaging the community, right? Like Torca does. We have like coaches who have been professionally trained to be coaches and like trying to bring people's skill level up, which sounds cool because maybe you just want to go faster, but a big part of it's just like so people don't kill themselves doing the sport and
Less
feel safe
injuries.
to feel safe and have the skills. Like when we learned to mountain bike, you just crashed and broke your arms, and we're like, I guess I won't do that again. Tried to do something different. Yeah, it's like, so, you know what I mean? Like changing the sport through those ways, and like those are things that
A different approach.
Yeah, that Torka
Say-
can be involved in.
Yeah, safer approach.
Community events, like working with youth, offering more opportunities for like kids that can't afford bikes to get into it, things like that. And it's not all Torka, but just like, you know, the community as a whole. I think those are like ways the sport will change, or like things we'll see in our future, not just building infrastructure.
For the community members that might be watching in the future, or maybe watching now, I have no idea.
They're all tuned in for sure.
Yeah, for sure. That's why the pump track cleared out.
They're all-
I gotta watch this. What's a good way for their voice to be heard in the upcoming
yes.
future projects?
I think it'll probably, like, the channels will come out probably like through the city, and Torka's like social media or website. So become a Torka member. You'll get on like email lists or follow us on whatever things. I'm really bad at social media. I don't.
So
Anything
am I.
you've ever seen on Torka social media is not for me. But you'll find us. Yes, it hasn't had a post for like 3 years.
Pretty good. Mine's close to that.
Yeah. But follow those spots, because that's where like it'll get shared, and they'll probably be like in the form of like surveys, like open house type stuff, or whatever. Like we're gonna hire like a professional planning consultant to do it. So there'll be all those opportunities to come out and get involved, and just anytime, come to an event, become a member, come to like a AGM for Torka, right? Or even better is just telling your like elected officials what you want to see in your community, right? Like, so Torka is wonderful, but even better if government, who actually has the money and the means to get some of these facilities or programs or whatever, right? Torka can be a channel for it, but those are the best, I think, ways to do it. Join the board,
Sweet.
volunteer, come out and
Take some work.
do
off
a
your
trail
plate.
work,
Yeah.
be a volunteer in an event, whatever,
Yeah.
participate in an event, all great ways.
What are let's do 4. What are 4 of your favorite trails around the local area here?
Around here, 4. I think Shangri-La is probably like our
What is-
showcase trail.
What does that look like?
It's a black diamond trail that's like not a flow trail entirely and not a technical trail entirely. It's very unique. I think that's why it's the best. Like, it uses our terrain super well. It's got like rock slabs with like beautiful berms and like features in between. It's like you couldn't have made it with except in this location. It's like it makes use of a very unique piece of terrain. So
And I'm guessing, I mean, I know, but for those of us that don't, a double black. It was a double black?
a black diamond.
A black
it's an
diamond.
easy
One.
black. Like most people can ride it in Terrace. Like, well, or like make their way down it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But the make their way down it. Yeah.
Yes.
What's the not the score system? I'm blanking on the name.
Rating
The gradient. Yeah.
difficulty. Yes.
Yeah.
So like a green is like ski runs. Green's easiest. Blue, intermediate, which is where most trails kind of end up being. Black is like more advanced, and then there's not that many usually on public trail networks. But double
Right.
black would be
Right.
pro lines. A lot of like the commercial bike parks call it too. So it's the stuff you mere mortals like us avoid generally.
Yeah, I don't think I've ventured down a double black.
No, we
I
don't have too many
know if
here.
I will. That sounds like a pretty killer
It's a great
for
trail,
your
yes.
first one. Yeah.
Yes. Guess what? I picked 3 more.
Yeah.
I think Maroon Mountain, which is not even just 25 minutes north-ish, and it's like
Drive or pedal?
a drive.
Yeah.
Well, you could pedal there.
Well,
Be a long
you
day.
I guess you could pedal anywhere, really.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, you could. It's like it goes up into the Alpine. It's an old mine trail. It was so, like Torka's adopted it and got permission to use mountain biking on it.
That's
so
pretty
it's like
sweet.
a kind of your Alpine epic
Yeah.
type thing. So I love that's up there. That's actually probably my real favorite. You just can't do it every day because it's like
A little ways away.
the season is much smaller as it goes in the Alpine.
Yeah, I'm guessing with an Alpine trail, you're maybe a little bit more removed,
Definitely.
and less maintenance, and
Yeah.
then weather windows and
It's
whatnot.
only open, like snow probably only cleared out in the last few weeks, and by October is covered in snow again, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is it pretty long?
It's
Like top to
about
bottom? almost?
1,100 meters of elevation. Yeah.
Oh,
It's a bit
yeah.
of a go. Yeah.
That
You
sounds-
need to push your bike up. It's not like properly like it's just an old trail that's been repurposed. So
Yeah.
you push up, you ride back down.
Yeah.
It takes a while, but worth it. What else? I put the pump track at number 3, simply due to its almost year-round versatility. There was like one winter we rode every month of the year.
Does
on
it snow down on it?
Yeah, it snows, but like there's enough time. Like, or we shovel it off sometimes. in the
I was
winter.
gonna ask, like,
If
do
it
you
warms
shovel-
up, yeah, I'll shovel it off. Like, so it just gets you out on like those rainy,
Yeah.
dark November, December days.
It gets the legs moving.
It's dark at 4 o'clock. You can leave work, you still get 30 minutes of riding
I
in the
know-
winter.
Does the lights
The
spill onto it a
lights
little
don't
bit?
quite hit it, no. But
Is that something that the city could be talking to putting in? Or
we
something
talked
that's
about
wanted?
it, but like the use in the winter is so limited, and this time of
Mm.
year it's light out till 10 o'clock, so it's
For,
kind of like
for sure.
not really needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more the diehards in the winter. Just like it's like, you know, plus
just
one,
gotta-
and you're like wearing winter clothes. You're just trying to get
Just
some
want to get back on your
outside
bike.
fitness. Yeah,
Yeah.
stay in tune. I think those are my top 3.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we should touch on Torca World, or anything we've missed? Any events coming up?
Events coming up. I think, what are we at? We have one more 5er race. I think it's August 20th
Mm-hmm.
on Copper Mountain. So it's the same thing. It's just the after work $5 sort of fun timed enduro race program.
Are the enduro? It's not downhill.
It's, well, enduro meaning I guess typically enduro race has more stages, but pedaling up
Yeah.
to access it, racing
So
down.
you're up and down.
Well, you don't time the up part.
Okay.
Pedal up.
Yeah.
And normally in an enduro race you do that 5 or 8 different
Mm.
stages, but after work we just do one.
Which face is it on? Is it on like what would it be? The highway face or the residential face?
Which
On Copper Mountain, you said?
Oh, yeah, Copper Mountain's like out in Thornhill.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, wait, sorry. Where did you
Different
say?
place.
Yeah.
Different network than where you met us the other day.
Ah, yes.
Yes, there's another trail network.
Is that
Copper
where
Mountain.
where did you say the next image was?
That's where it is.
Okay,
It's at
yeah.
Copper Mountain.
Yeah.
We haven't disclosed which trail yet. You keep it a
Oh.
secret till near
Oh,
the end,
fair.
so people don't get
We'll-
practicing too much ahead of time.
We'll
right?
bleep
Keep
that
it
out.
fair, yeah. And then what else? We have our big one in the fall, September 10th. I'm gonna say
Uh-huh.
is I think that's a Saturday. Sunday is the Funduro, which is super fun. It's just a random event where we set up usually fun stations where you have to stop and do some kind of silly challenge or game to bypass it. And you must there's a theme every year of what costumes to wear. So that's super fun. Everybody gets dressed up, and then there's like a race and a party.
What were some bygone costumes?
I missed last year. I was out of town, unfortunately.
Oh.
But there's been some great, last year was, I can't remember the photos in my head, what the theme was. I can't remember. And I can't remember what this year's is. Terrible. I should have prepared more.
That's all good.
But it's going to be great.
We
Don't
can
worry.
find.
I was dressed up in a sexy lion costume one year.
Oh,
I don't remember what the theme was, but it was like a sleeveless
But it was
thing on
lion,
Amazon
yeah.
order. Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. I don't know if I've ever heard of a funathon. A funathon?
Funduro. It's like
Funduro, pardon
enduro,
me.
but fun.
Yeah.
See?
I think a marathon is something different.
Some of the
I
games were
wouldn't
great.
know.
But I do remember last year that one of the games, you hit like 4 or 5 stations on the ride up.
Yeah.
You had to do, and one of them was like a tortilla slap station. So they had like tortillas, and like you got there with your buddy, and it was like a game of chicken. Like you'd smack the person with the tortilla, and and like whoever gave up first lost, or like there's another one where it was like the twerking game where like you strap a Kleenex box on your back to the
dang.
opening, like empty
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Put a ping pong ball in it. You had to like shake the ping pong ball out of the box, before you could pass. Or, like, other miscellaneous games.
I think I'd probably fail that one.
Yeah, there was like a tire change station.
Oh, that's a
The
good.
game of, you ever played Neglin? The game where you have to hit the nail into the log, but you only get to use the backside of the hammer.
That's a dangerous one,
That's
man.
a very dangerous one.
That is, I
games.
almost had to bring somebody to the after-hours hospital in Dawson City for that game.
Yeah, so you usually have it like you usually have it at bars or something like that. It's like, hey, it's like a Norwegian.
It's a great camp game.
Yeah.
But just
So,
pretty good though.
Thunder
I
was
mean,
a good time.
Yeah.
I think our last event, usually we have like Halloween kind of wrap up. Generally it
Another-
gets rained out horribly.
Oh yeah.
Some sort of like kids scavenger hunt program on Halloween, I think is our other one.
That sounds pretty fun.
Yeah.
Wow. Man. Thank
That's
you.
you.
Yeah. Thank you for I mean, I kind of had an inkling of all the back end work that is put into putting the making trail networks and this, but yeah,
It's
I mean,
lots of work.
it's so much more.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's great. There's
Yeah.
tons of people out there doing it. So
And then I imagine it doesn't stop in the winter, in the off season.
no, that's when most of the magic happens.
Yeah.
Right now we try to ride our bikes and enjoy ourselves, go on vacation, stuff like that. But yeah, lots of the planning and
Yeah.
event getting ready and permit applications and
Less time
inspection reports and things like that all happen like in the early season. So
for yeah.
it's good times.
Yeah, less time for that camper van to be jumping around ski parking lot.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Also have a job now.
Yeah, well, that always dampens it
Not
sometimes.
24 years old and finished school. So,
Wild. I'm super stoked to come back here. Not on a work schedule
I like it.
and check it out. I think we both are. I think I can talk for Emma as well. Yeah, behind the
Back in
camera,
there.
pumping your fist.
Yeah, come check out the skiing in the winter. It's great.
Oh man,
Fishing.
This is
Torg is just
all-
one of like the many
just all
amazing
of
groups
it.
in this town too.
Yeah, no, like we were saying, at the beginning, the head of the interview, like a lot of stuff going on here, and a lot of like really great people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Our ski hill is a co-op run by a not-for-profit. It's a pretty. I don't.
we had
Learn
a
all about it.
No, you-
That's Dusty Track BC.
Okay, you got a thing. Perfect.
we had a great interview with Christian. Yeah,
Insert thing
And-
link to episode
for sure.
whatever.
You bet.
yeah. Also super excited to go check out the mountain. We
Yeah.
haven't. We're gonna go fly it. So yeah,
Sweet.
get some B-roll up there and cut it up and put it in. But also just going up and hopefully getting a good day to go check it out.
Yes.
Yeah. Any particular trail that we should go check out
I think we're
between
gonna.
now and we're gone?
Well, I brought my pump track bike, and then we have. They're just right here.
Yeah.
Couple. It's called the Hub.
Right.
We called it the Hub. Central in town.
Yeah.
There's like they're built in 2021. Trying to remember, COVID year.
Yeah.
They're just like a couple of short sort of flow jump trails.
Sweet.
They're pretty good in all weather and close to town, so we'll go hit those up.
Sweet. I think we can probably just slap a GoPro on your bike and then also just follow you with the drone.
Sounds good.
How woody is it?
There's actually a pretty open corridor on
Yeah?
the one trail.
Right,
should send
right.
it
We're
back.
doing something. Thanks, folks. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next thing we do. Ciao.